trust you. We believe in you. I stood down at La Rabida Hospital about 4 years ago. Galen Stylo asked me to join the ASHFA, and there was a party going on, and I was with Scott Stupak and Patty Sullivan and Galen, and a terrible windstorm came in from Lake Michigan and flooded it. And there were the GFS people helping La Rabida move everything inside. They were getting soaking wet, and they made it fun. And I thought, wow, that is interesting. Not too long ago, we had a major special event, and Mike McConey showed up with an apron on to help, to learn what it was that our company did to get closer to our people. That doesn't happen with other companies. Other companies just don't care. Years ago when I started, 1971, I opened up my first restaurant, and there was no school of entrepreneurship. There was no individual companies growing. You went to work for major corporate America, and then you got disposed of like used Kleenex. But I decided I wasn't going to follow my father's footsteps. He was a senior vice president. In fact, he became the top man for quality for Zenith Radio when Zenith Radio was something. And I watched how he was abused and used, and I said, I don't want to be like that. I want to go into my own and start my own business. So I opened up a hot dog stand. And I asked one of our vendors, how do you make money in this business? How do the successful people do it? And he said, this is the secret to success. Steal the same amount out of the cash register every day, and the government won't catch you. That's the secret to success. And I thought, oh, that makes a lot of sense. This goes against my moral and ethical grain, but if I'm going to be successful, I've got to do that. So I went home and I asked my wife, this is the right thing to do. If we steal the same amount, we won't get caught. And she said, when you go to borrow money, who's going to lend you money? What's your balance sheet going to look like? And she said, and how can you go to church on Sunday? So I went back to work. About 5 years later, I don't know the exact time. It's kind of a blur, the 70s and 80s, but Gordon Food Service came into town. And Gordon Food Service came to us and said, we're going to be servicing the market in Chicago. We're opening up the Chicago market. At that time, I was more active in the purchasing and the paying. I don't buy or sell anymore because my market has sort of drifted away. I used to sell to people 5 and 10 years older than me. All I could sell them now, I think, is Depends and vitamins. But this man came to me and looked me straight in the eye and said, you're going to order product and we're going to deliver it from Grand Rapids to Chicago and it's going to be great product. And I thought, are you nuts? And I thought either this guy's a liar or he's a terrific salesperson. And so to give him a benefit of the doubt, because I always admired somebody that had that kind of audacious hope, we started buying from Gordon Food Service. And I don't remember exactly when it kicked in full speed. But at one time, they suggested we had an annual meeting. And we still have this annual meeting. In January, your team comes in and sits down with us, and they help us. And versus the bread driver telling us how much to steal, your team is telling us how to grow our business and how to grow it effectively. Instead of coming in to ask for a check, your staff comes in and says, what can we do to help you? When the recession hit, we had a disaster plan. Every company, every good company has disaster plans. And our disaster plan had certain periods of cutoffs and reductions, and I was supposed to go speak to bankers and the people I deal with, and we did it, and we survived. But the point was this. Here's a very funny anecdote. Our CFO said, these are the vendors that we're going to ask for slower payments. And I looked at his list, and Gordon Food Service wasn't there. And I said, why not Gordon Food Service? And he said, they're getting paid 30 days or less because they helped us out during lean times. How about that? Their attitude, a CFO, was impressed with you, and he doesn't buy or all he does is pay for you, but he was concerned about the value that you brought to our company. 2006, we opened up a new building. We grew 400% that year. Our building went up 400% in size, and it was a tremendous cost and expense. Tony was mentioning the expense of opening up 3 distribution centers. I can't even put my mind around that. The cost, the logistics, et cetera. But we came to Gordon Food Service, and we asked them for help. And we said, could you help us in these areas with marketing, advertising? Can we stretch our payments? Gordon Food Service says, absolutely. When do you plan to be back at 100%? Give us 4 months to launch this, and we'll be back. That year, our sales went up 32%, and our purchases from Gordon Food Service went up 47%. Gordon Food Service understands the value of strategic partnership. Other companies don't. As a strategic partner, you've helped us through the lean times, and you've helped us grow, and it's sort of imbued a sense of loyalty back to you. And I've gone to major caterers in the city of Chicago, my dear friends, Jim Horan that owns Blue Plate, and Nancy Sharp that owns Food for Thought, and the rest of these people, and tried to convince them of the value of Gordon Food Service, and they just don't get it until they meet the human beings. Once they meet the human beings, was out to lunch with Stuart before the summer started because I knew it would take a lot of contracts off the table for him. We bid on a lot of the same things, so I meet him before the summer and then after the holidays. So I asked him, I said, how's that GFS thing going for you? And he smiled and he says, he's a nice guy. I don't know if Dan's still on that account because I've not spoken to him through the summer. But was it I'm getting a lot of savings? Am I making more money? No, he's a nice guy. Again, it speaks volumes. How can you help in the future? We love your website. We think your website is far superior to any other company that's in your industry. However, there's some issues with it because we have people that English is a second language and they try to type in words, and if it's not exactly correct, they can't get to it. Our staff asked us to ask you if you could make that more customer friendly. Your customer focus is beyond any other vendor that we've ever had. Your accountability, there's no passing the buck. There's been mistakes, and your people have looked us in the eye and said, it's our fault, we'll correct it. There's no transferring blame. Your competitor, that S word, it's always somebody else's fault. And I've had the local Chicago executive in my office, and after he told me that it was the driver's fault, I asked him, could you please leave? I don't want to talk to someone that runs a company or runs a department or runs a division that blames their employees. That's just not the right way to do business. Your food shows are by far the best food shows in your industry. Kudos to Steve and the people that put this together, but this is what we do for a living, and I walked in here today and said, nice setup. I was commenting as they wired me that the sound system was balanced and that the chord structures and everything was set in place to make this a very comfortable atmosphere. I don't get to many food shows, and thank God you came to Schaumburg because I don't have to drive so far. But I went to that Schaumburg food show 2 years ago, and I think I met 40 Gordon Food Service people before I even got into the main hall. I'm exaggerating because I can't remember anything. But it was a tremendous amount of people that came up and shook my hand and introduced themselves. Very friendly, very outgoing. We're also frustrated. A frustration point from us is the MDL. I think you call it a multiple day lead. Our purchasing department calls it the maddening distribution logistics. Maddening distribution logistics. I thought that's pretty clever. However, that department's run by my younger brother, and he's the youngest of 11 kids, and he's a spoiled little baby. I think the ones that are clapping know Kevin. But we understand logistics, we understand how things have to evolve, and that this is probably on somebody's punch list and it will be straightened up. Once again, it limits us, and sometimes it takes money off of your table and puts it on somebody else's. The contract pricing not being adjusted and heavy usages not being adjusted, we would think somewhere that there would be a computer program or someone that could monitor that, so it wouldn't take time from our staff and from your